Motor City Sports Talk, we in the building. I appreciate everybody for checking in. Much blessed to you and yours. Hopefully everybody enjoying the holiday. Everybody be safe over these holiday periods. But seen on Pro Football Focus earlier that Jim Caldwell is interviewing for the Green Bay Packers job. Now, I think I talked about this in the preview video for the Lions and Packers season finale. Both ain't going to the playoffs. We all know that. But that Aaron Rodgers want Joe Philbin to stay as the Packers head coach. And I think Philbin was the offensive coordinator years ago as well. Where Mark McCarthy still called the plays, though. But to me, it sounds like in that situation that Aaron Rodgers actually wants to run the show. It's pretty much that Joe Philbin is probably his figurehead and do what he want. Aaron Rodgers want him. He does what Aaron Rodgers want him to do, and that's probably why that situation is. But the Packers are interviewing Jim Caldwell, if I haven't said it before, and in an ESPN Insider post, excuse me, I'm a little tired. They also said that they expect Jim Caldwell to be back in the NFL in some capacity this year. And, Chuck Pagano, former Indianapolis coach, is interviewing for the Green Bay Packers job as well. And I think Jim Caldwell, would be an interesting fit in Green Bay. We know Martellus Bennett said that ain't no black people in Green Bay except for the players. I'm not sure if Green Bay ever had a black head coach. And how would they accept Jim Caldwell? I think Jim Caldwell would be on a shorter leash than he was anywhere else in his NFL career going to Green Bay from that aspect. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people might not feel that, but that's just what it is, man. We know that black coaches are on a shorter hook in the NFL, man. Look at the guy Steve Wilkes in Arizona. The players all want Steve Wilkes to be retained, and they gave him no quarterback. Josh Rosen, that wasn't his fault. Josh Rosen, I don't think Josh Rosen coming out of UCA was ready to play. A lot of people didn't even predict him to go that high. And at the end of the day, they got fired Steve Wilkes after his first year in Arizona. And but it would be something if Jim Caldwell can go in there and work his magic. He ain't credited for solving the Detroit Lions discipline problems that Jim Schwartz let them run around and have. He solved those problems. He's a great game manager for the most part offensively. He has some mismanagement in Detroit here and there, but compared to Matt Patricia, this dude is the GOAT. We're gonna do a video about him too, but imagine Jim Caldwell going to Green Bay and putting his foot up the Lions' butt 2 times a year, man. It'll be crazy, but you would think that the Green Bay Packers will follow status quo and get them a defensive coach. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I think Chuck McConnell is a defensive coach by trade, but he was part of that Indianapolis management regime in general that just kept drafting offense and offense. You know what I'm saying? Defensive guys draft so much offense. I haven't seen that before, but that's what he done in Indy. And I think Jim Caldwell will be a good fit for Green Bay. I'm just not sure about the demographic fit for him, man. I don't know how many more times we want to get up and relocate his family. He's an older guy. You know what I'm saying? I think for him, a college job might be more versed for him. I think, for him to solve all the Lions discipline woes, I think he can go to college and really go and demand some respect there, in my opinion. I think he can go there and change young guys' lives, be a great mentor to young college kids. I just don't know if Green Bay is a fit for him demographic-wise, man. He's going to get a short leash. And I like Jim Caldwell. I really didn't mind if he went or stayed and left until I seen how bad Matt Patricia is. So wait till this Matt Patricia video I do, man. It's just going to confirm what a lot of people have been saying about, oh, dude, man, what we thought. But it's going to come up after this one. But I like Caldwell. But what could Caldwell bring to the Green Bay? He can bring a friendly offense for Aaron Rodgers. Will he bring his buddy Jim Bob Cooter or Joe Lombardi with him? I hope not. But he definitely could keep the offense and keep what Aaron Rodgers likes in the offense. Remember, this dude was a guy who really stepped in for Cam Cameron in the middle of the Baltimore Ravens season. They won a Super Bowl, their last Super Bowl, and took Joe Flacco. And he was like 13-1 or 13-2 in his playoff run to win the Super Bowl. 13 touchdowns, 1 interception, 2 interceptions, and called great game plans and really managed the game from the booth well for Joe Flacco. I think he could do the same thing with Aaron Rodgers, but You know, the problem is with Jim Caldwell in Detroit is that Jim Caldwell didn't want to save his job and call plays. You know, he didn't want to come fix the offense, and they have more responsibility than a lot of fans and we think, just in general. You know, he has bus schedules, media schedules to pick up. He got to schedule so many things and balance so many things. So being a play caller and offensive and a head coach, you know, that's probably tough for him to do, man. He probably couldn't complete his offensive duties. It's probably going to be too much stress on him. So he just chose, you know, not to do it. And he chose to lose his job, mess around with Jim Bob Cooter and Joe Lombardi eventually. But in Green Bay, you know, the one thing, he going to be facing a similar situation that he faced in Detroit. The difference is that he's going to have a once-in-a-generational type quarterback that can cover up his deficiencies, where he didn't have that in Detroit. In Green Bay, he will have Aaron Rodgers, but he's going to come in there with defensive problems. They got defensive problems in Green Bay. Okay, remember they blocked Terrell Austin from going to Green Bay and being defensive coordinator. Now he's eligible to follow Jim Caldwell to Green Bay, so that can happen. Also, he came to Detroit. They wasn't a good running team. In Green Bay, they didn't run the ball enough. They wasn't a good running team, you know. So it's some parallels here, man. But the difference is he's going to a franchise that's been pretty competent. The Lions been pretty incompetent. He going to a solid franchise. But he's not gonna have a longer leash as he had in Detroit, you know. But he ain't gonna have the incompetent management and the average quarterback to deal with. So there's some ups and some downs. They said that John Harbaugh will stay with the Baltimore Ravens. You could look for the Arizona Cardinals coaching job. I don't know if they're gonna go back with another black coach. Byron Leftwich is doing an amazing job calling the plays. Old Marshall quarterback and Pittsburgh Steelers, Jacksonville quarterback for Josh Rosen. I mean, Pat Shurmur's Devon Childs. Pat Shurmur played him in a private basketball league in elementary and middle school. He came from Devon Childs. A lot of people don't know that in Dearborn Heights, I think it is. And he could be pulled as the Giants head coach, even though he says Eli Manning will come back and start next year. He can easily be fired from that job next year. So Jim Caldwell really gonna have some opportunities this year and next year, man. I mean, offensive coordinator, but I like to see Jim Caldwell retain, you know, I like to see him go to college or retain his job as an offensive coordinator around the league. But, you know, like I said, man, if you go to Green Bay and whoop on the Lions, it wouldn't be nothing new, you know. And we seen Joey Harrington come back and light us up. We seen Ndamukong Suh come back and push Stafford a few times. We've seen a lot of different guys come back and have a lot of success versus the Detroit Lions. So, you know, why not? We've seen Jim Source get carried off the field by the Buffalo Bills. So, you know, would it shock you to see Jim Caldwell come back and whoop Bob Quinn, whoop Matt Patricia with Terrell Austin, and come back and just dog walk Stafford, dog walk the Lions 2 times a year and get carried off the field? I know he's too classy to get carried off the field like Jim Schwartz did, but it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me at all. You know, and people going to say, why you couldn't do this in Detroit? Man, people going to realize, man, with plenty of fans over the years that have left the Lion fan base and went to become Bears fans and Steelers fans, there's plenty of them old dudes around here. Most of the older dudes have figured out that until the Fords sell the Lions, ain't nothing going to change. You know? And I think that's a really, really accurate depiction of the Lions franchise. Since the Fords took over, they've been sorry. That's just the situation. A lot of people want to be blind to it and have false hope every year. And, you know, we get into that optimistic period after the draft and going into mini camps, OTAs, and training camps and stuff of that nature. But every year it's the same result. No matter if we 4-0 in the preseason or we 0-4 in the preseason, whatever situation may be, we come in with some type of hope. And a lot of times the Lions, you know, sometimes they ball above expectations and then fail you in the playoffs or fall apart at the end of the season or somebody get injured, or they fail to meet expectations all the way around. That's what usually happens. But at the end of the day, it's always a letdown. This city should be hungry and primed for a Super Bowl run, but with the Fords at the helm, it wouldn't surprise you. But I'll link an article in there proving my video to be factual. Like I said, Chuck Pagano is interviewing with Green Bay, so they're going through the phases right now. I want to do a quick, fast, and hurry for evaluation periods for the draft. Appreciate everybody for checking in. Don't forget, we on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the links in the description. Also, you can make a donation to the channel. You can reach out to me in the email or DM me on social media. Try to get back to you at my earliest convenience. Much blessings to you and yours. One more video coming up about Matt Patricia. You're going to want to see this video. Motor City Sports Talk. We go.